Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on the secrets of the modern customer journey. My name is Brian McGuire, and we're going to spend about the next 30 minutes or so learning some really cool stuff. I hope you'll walk away with some great understanding of how people become your customers in today's world that is more digital and more virtual than ever before. Just a few housekeeping items as we get started here. So if you cannot hear any sound right now, you want to check your computer speakers or dial in by phone. To do that, just click over on the left-hand tab on the panel there and click View Dial In Numbers, and you can dial into the conference. All right, let's move on. Let's see, all participants are in listen-only mode. So if you do have a question, you can ask a question along the way. Just click on the Q&A over in that left panel, type in your question and click Ask Question. And if we have time at the end, I will get to those questions and answer them. And this webinar is being recorded, so you'll get a link to the recording shortly after it concludes. All right, let's move on. So sorry about that. Just working through the technology here. All right, so here's what we're going to cover today. Keep it nice and simple. The first thing I'm going to talk about is how has buying behavior changed? The way people become your customer and the way people find out about your business and make a decision, frankly, to do business with you has completely changed. So the way you've always done things won't necessarily work anymore, or wouldn't work as well as maybe it has in the past. So let's talk about that. The second thing we're going to do is actually break down the customer journey into its stages. We're going to talk about each stage and what's kind of happening there, what's going on with your customers, and we'll talk about some of the digital marketing tactics that you're probably already doing and how those impact those stages of the customer journey. And then finally, we're going to talk about those stages and how you have to win in every single one of those stages. Each one of those stages has the possibility of moving your customer on to the next stage with you, or it could potentially move your customer into the next stage with a competitor. And we're also going to talk about how maybe you can use your competitors' marketing dollars to your benefit as well. So as I said, my name is Brian McGuire, and I am the founder and owner of McGuire Designs. I'm actually career marketing pro. I've worked in corporate America for all of my career as a marketing executive. And I realized during the pandemic that local businesses, small local businesses, really need the same kinds of marketing tools and support that big companies have. But of course, they don't necessarily have the budgets for that. And I wanted to be able to create a digital agency that was specifically designed with products and services that aligned with the needs and the budgets and the time that small business owners have. And so that's really what my whole entire mission is. All right, let's get started into the detail here. So the first thing I want to do is just talk a little bit about how buying behavior online has changed. What is the state of local marketing and how does it impact customers' buying behavior? We all know that things have changed, but the thing that we really want to know here is that the fact that we as consumers and your customers as consumers can discover information so quickly online, your customers know way more about your business before they ever set foot in your front door, whether that's a physical front door or a virtual front door. So your marketing efforts help control what they know. They're going to know a lot about your business. You want to be able to control what they know. And that's what digital marketing really is all about. Buying decisions are made online today. Even if the purchase happens in a physical location, in a retail store or in a restaurant, the decision to do business with someone is happening online. I'm going to talk more about this as we go through, but a few stats. In 2020, 93% of shoppers say that they used online resources, whether that was search, video, apps, things like that, while 83% of them visited a store. They said they used online search before going into that store. And the store is not necessarily a retail store, it's a physical location. So in this case, that could have been a restaurant, a store, a gym, any sort of physical location. That's based on some research that's done every year by Bright Local. And if you think those 2020 numbers might be an anomaly because of COVID, they're actually not. It's a reasonable assumption, but they're not. They've actually been consistently in this range and growing steadily based on that same annual research every year. But let's talk about, what do I mean actually by buying decisions? What is that buying decision? Before the internet and mobile devices existed, your customers discovered your business pretty simply. First, there was an initial stimulus that would catch the attention, something like a radio ad, a television spot, maybe a billboard, a coupon in a phone book. This is taking you way back, isn't it? But next, after you got that stimulus, that sparked their interest, they would immediately head into your business. They would buy the product or service that they were interested in and experience what we call a first moment of truth. Take my money. That's the actual buying experience, or the buying moment that happens. Then afterwards, they see if expectations matched their reality. Do they love the experience in your store or at your place of business? Do they love the product that they got? Often consumers share their bad experiences with friend and family, and that's important to keep in mind. And again, that was typically done by word of mouth. So it was a fairly simple buying experience. They would see an ad, they would come into your business, they would purchase a product, and then they would evaluate their experience after the fact and talk to people about it. But now things have changed. Because of that, people research your business before they ever enter your front door. They're making their decisions based upon what they find online before they ever interact with you directly. And this is new point in the buying process, is called by Google the zero moment of truth. Research from Google shows that the moment people are making a buying decision is happening online. Whether they ultimately buy in a physical location or on an e-commerce website, they're making that decision about buying online. And Google calls this, as I mentioned, the zero moment of truth. It's happening every single day for your business. So how do you positively impact this online buying behavior so that it's in favor of your business? Well, you have to stand out where customers are looking. Since we said 93% of consumers say they search for businesses online, and buying decisions are made online at that zero moment of truth, you need to manage the entire customer journey online. Customers are making an online buying decision, that ZMOT, the zero moment of truth, and they're making that decision with your business, or are they making that decision with a competitor? Let's take a look at this customer journey, and let me break down what I mean by the customer journey and what you need to do to be the one attached to that ZMOT, that zero moment of truth. The typical customer journey looks like this. In marketing, we typically refer to this as a funnel, the marketing funnel, the buying funnel. But as you can see why it looks like a funnel. The funnel has steps or stages that a buyer takes to enter your virtual doorway. I mentioned that virtual doorway earlier. They are entering your virtual doorway, even if you do have a physical doorway that ultimately they're going to come into. Let me break this down for you. Each stage, let's take a look at it. The first stage starts with interest and awareness. That's that stimulus that we talked about earlier in the traditional buying journey. Television and radio ads and billboards aren't going away completely. You still see them out there. You still see those ads, but they're now being supplemented by digital stimulus. And in fact, for some businesses, completely replaced by digital stimulus. Things like online advertising, email marketing, text marketing, YouTube video ads, those types of things are all part of this generating interest and awareness in your business. So think about what things you're currently doing to generate awareness and interest from both new and existing clients. Let's look at the next stage. The next stage is findability. After becoming aware of your business, consumers start discovering more with search. Can they actually find your virtual doorway? Can they find your business online? There are actually more places than ever where people are searching for businesses. It's not just Google. There are apps, directories, voice search like Alexa, GPS, lots of places. Do you know how findable your business is? What places is your business listed online? And think about if that listing is accurate. Are your hours of operation up to date? Are they consistent across multiple listings? You want to be sure that you can be found and that you stand out when customers are going through this online buying journey. Next is reputation. After people find your business and they find one of your listings, they're going to see reviews. In fact, it's often the first thing showcased in a Google search. When a consumer uses ratings, reviews, and recommendations to help them compare choices, this affects directly that zero moment of truth, where they choose which businesses they're going to buy from. So if you've advertised and you've made them aware of your business and they've found your business online, the next point that directly influences that zero moment of truth is the reputation. Really, this is a question of, can they trust you? And that's very much driven by things like reviews, social media, how many people like your business, recommend your business, and even things like blogs and articles that you publish on your website, helpful tips and information that they can find online through search. These are all things that help improve the reputation of your business. Next is conversion. And this is where they're finally connecting with your business. Your customers are looking for quick and easy ways to do business with you. And especially now that the world is more virtual than ever, they want easy ways to make a booking, place an order their food for takeout, be able to make an appointment, be able to do this all online 24/7. This is where the business is going to happen. And you want to be sure that your conversion point for most businesses, that's your website. You want to make sure that that provides a great customer experience and is easy for people to make that purchase conversion for at that point, whether that's booking an appointment or purchasing something directly online. And then finally, advocacy. It's important that you do everything to encourage happy customers to return again and to tell others about you. That second moment of truth that we talked about earlier in the old buying journey, this is where that's happening. People are talking about you. This is the new word of mouth. They're posting reviews. They're telling people about you on social media. They're sharing a post to their network and saying, "I just had this great experience at this local establishment." And you want to help guide them here. You want to let them know how to write a review for you, where they can post on social media, and how they can tag your business and other things like that. So you want to be sure that you have mechanisms in place to help drive that advocacy. So here's a summary of all of the channels, both traditional and marketing, that can influence potential customers. Again, in the stimulus phase, awareness, the traditional advertising, television, billboard, that's not going away, but social marketing, search advertising, email and text marketing, those are all now playing a role. You want your business to be findable. People need to be able to find you in organic search when they just type in a keyword like coffee shops near me, for example. Maps, directories, online local business listings. And then we talked about the reputation piece, blog articles, reviews, social media. And the website, online booking, make it easy for people to book appointments, purchase from you, pre-order food if you're a restaurant, whatever that case may be, and then provide them a great post-purchase experience so that they become advocates, loyal, returning customers, and share that word of mouth with you. So that really breaks down the customer journey. Now let's talk about why you must win at every single one of those stages. It's not just enough to have a great website or to be posting on social media every day. You actually have to win at every stage. And while that might sound a little bit daunting, it's actually not bad if you put a process in place. But let's talk about why it's important. It's important to win at every stage because if you don't, you actually may be helping your competitors. Let me explain with an example. All right, let's take a look at this customer journey again. And there's two different businesses, business A and business B. Let's just say that your customer is making their way along the funnel for business A. Let's just say that business A is you. They become interested in that business, in your business, after seeing a Facebook ad, perhaps. Then they looked up the business online and found you. But there were multiple negative Google reviews that hadn't even been responded to. Now they likely won't trust your business because, one, people are negatively are posting negative comments, and the business looks like it's not even engaged or not active. And as a matter of fact, I will tell you, even if you have lots and lots of positive reviews, but you're not responding to those reviews, that can actually look bad and make people not trust you because it's like you're not even open. You have to show people that you're actively participating in these online conversations. And one of the easiest and best ways of doing that is to respond to every single review that you get and to do it very quickly. There might be other reasons a customer might move along the funnel, or they might lose interest or lose trust. But that could be things like they can't find accurate hours of operation for your business and other things like that. So anyway, the customer's moving along, they reach this bump in the road, and what does the consumer do? Well, since they're already well into their research phase, it's very likely that they'll go directly on to the next stage, but they'll do it with business B, with your competitor. Then they'll move on to that website, to that conversion step, maybe come to that store, come to that restaurant, and that company is now going to get their business and turn them into a loyal customer. And the kicker, the really bad thing here is that that person has actually been stimulated down the buying journey by your effort and by your expenditures on advertising and other things, even if it was just time that you spent. So you don't want this to happen. And this is why you have to win, and you have to be at the top of your game in every single one of those stages. Now, let's talk about this though. That's why it's important to win in every stage. But let's flip that around. The easiest and fastest way to win to increase customers is to use your competitors' marketing dollars. So if we look at that business A and business B example, just flip the coin on that. And let's just say business A was your competitor. If your competitor is not winning at every stage, then you could be capturing business from them. So again, however, in order to do that, you need to be at the top of your game in every single one of those stages, so that if a consumer is coming along that buying journey, they find something that causes them to lose trust in your competitor, and they see your listing right next to it, you look great, they're going to flip right over to you. All right, I always get people asking me, okay, where do I start? Because that sounds like a lot, Ryan, and it can be. But if you take it systematically and with good processes in place, it's actually very doable. So the first place to start is, of course, the smartest place to start. Let's take a look at that buying journey again. This is really the logical order of operations for local business marketing. If you're going to start tackling this, the very first thing to do, number one, is to make sure that your conversion point is fantastic and well-tuned. For most businesses, this is your website. It can also be, of course, your local store, but remember your local establishment, store, coffee shop, restaurant, whatever that may be. But remember that zero moment of truth. People are making their buying decision online. So you want them to make that decision online on your website. So start there. The website can be about the design. It can be about whether or not you're providing e-commerce capability on there for people to purchase or to book appointments and maybe even prepay for their appointments, make it super convenient for them. But you also want to make sure that that website is safe, that it has a SSL certificate, that it's performing quickly, that it doesn't take too long for the pages to load, and all sorts of other kind of behind the scenes technical things. So focus there first, get your website in great order. Next, focus on being influential at that zero moment of truth with listings and with reputation. So that's going to impact kind of the findability and reputation stages, as well as advocacy. This is where you can have your existing happy clients write reviews. You can proactively request those reviews and respond to those reviews. Make sure that your business is on all of the main listing sites for your industry and that the information on all of those sites is consistent and accurate. And then finally, you want to increase interest and awareness with digital advertising. So I never recommend that folks spend money on advertising on Facebook or Google or whatever that may be, unless you've already covered these other pieces first. So that's how I would recommend tackling this. And I actually have an offer for those of you who are on the webinar here that will help you with this. You may or may not know exactly how you're performing at all of those stages. And we have an analysis service that we do. We typically charge clients for this, but I'm offering everyone who's on this webinar one of our analysis and a report absolutely free of charge. So what you want to do is go to bmcguiredesigns.com/snapshot. And you'll see information about the research that we do and the report that you'll get. It's basically a report card that shows you how you're doing at each one of those stages of the customer journey, and we'll make recommendations for you. And then I'll be more than happy to get on the phone with you and or your staff and talk through the report and talk about what you may want to focus on. And if we can help you with that, we would be more than happy to, but there's absolutely no obligation. So go to bmcguiredesigns.com/snapshot. And right after this webinar concludes, you'll actually be taken to that page automatically if you want to just hang out for a minute on that. So that really concludes the webinar. And I wanted to just take a moment here and see if we have any questions and answer some questions for you. Looks like we have a few here. So the first question is, it's where do I start? And it's great because this person probably asked that question before we got into that last part. It can be a little bit overwhelming. But again, just to recap where to start, you really want to start with your point of conversion. For most people, that's your website. You want to make sure that your website provides a great experience and that it makes it really easy for people to convert, whether that's booking an appointment, whether that's purchasing a product, whether that's pre-ordering food for pickup or for delivery through like a DoorDash service. Just make it super easy for people to do that on your website. Then you want to focus on your findability and your reputation. Make sure that when people do find you online, that they can trust you and that everything is consistent and they see that you have good, mostly positive, fresh reviews that you've responded to, that you're very actively engaged in the online conversations that your customers are having. And then finally, as you're starting to drive more traffic and through that part of the journey, you can focus on spending some money with Mark Zuckerberg or somebody on Facebook or with Google to drive some ads and or do traditional advertising through billboards and things like that. That's the last piece though that I would focus on. Okay, here we have another question. This all sounds really good, but I am a sole proprietor and I just don't have the time for all of this. Totally understand that, and you may not. Again, that's why I always want to talk to people about where you should start and where you should focus first. However, one of the reasons we created the snapshot report and the reason that we created the digital local business, what we call the Conquer Local platform, is because we recognized that small business owners don't have a lot of time and they don't have a lot of money, but yet they need the kinds of dashboards and insights that big businesses have about the health of their marketing and what's going on. So if you use the right tools and you use the right kind of processes, it actually can take less time than you may be spending on it now, and you may be able to get even more done in less time than maybe you're spending just trying to get social media posts put out a few times a week. So totally understand that, but would be more than happy to chat with anybody after the fact here about what you're doing and what you could be doing and how you might be able to save some time on that. That looks like that wraps up the questions that we have, but I will conclude at this point, give you all a few minutes back. Thank you very much again for attending. The customer journey online is critical. You do have to win at every stage. If you focus on prioritizing it and getting it right, you can handle all of it and use the right tools and the right processes. Very good luck to everyone. Here's to your business success, and thank you very much for attending today.